After thinking more about the challenge, Lev had to admit it might not be as bad of a thing as he thought before. It wasn't like Yaku was about to get furious at him for asking about his opinion on having children. Lev was sure of it. It could be quite informative, in fact. And on top of that, it could help both of them to come to different thoughts. The elephant was still very much present in the room. Lev wasn't blind, nor stupid to not notice the way Yaku tensed whenever they were about to eat something, no matter that one of them prepared it from scratch. They couldn't even order a takeout from worries someone could mess with the food. Of course, a few missed pizzas was the least of their problems, but the knowledge they couldn't do anything against it but wait still bored Lev to no end. As if there isn't enough other things to worry about. Lev? Have you seen my towel? Snapping back into reality, Lev cursed under his breath when he noticed he accidentally added too much sugar into the bowl in his absent-mindedness. It took a bit before Yaku's question settled in his mind. I think I put it on the second upper shelf. Why? Ah yeah, I see it. Thanks. Lev furrowed his brow, confused about the avoidance of his question. He left the sugar-filled bowl as it was and headed to their bedroom, where he found Yaku trying to reach the towel put away just out of his reach. Do you need help? Yaku's nose scrunched, but he still nodded despite the little pout on his lips. Yeah, hand it down, would you? You need to start realizing I live here now too. You can't put everything so high. Lev would gladly smile over the fact that Yaku admitted he was too short to reach certain things, which was something he would never do before, if it wasn't for his slowly growing confusion. It wasn't like Yaku to shower in the middle of the day unless he came from exercising. So what did he need the towel for? Are you going somewhere? Yeah. I found a little gym not far from here, so I thought I could get some training done since I don't have the equipment here. Lev was already opening his mouth to protest, but Yaku stopped him with raised hand. I know what you are going to say, and trust me, you don't need to worry. One of the guys is going with me, it will be fine. But it's still an unnecessary risk. What if something happens to you along the way? Lev, I know the risk, and I know you are worried, but I have to move or I'll go completely out of shape. But, Lev, trust me with this, okay? Please. Lev wanted to argue further, but he had spent enough time by Yaku's side to know when to back off. Once Yaku's mind was set on something, there was nothing he could do to make him change his mind. Sighing, he clenched his hands to stop himself from trying to keep Yaku at home by force. Alright, but please promise me you'll be careful. A small smile tucked in the corner of Yaku's mouth. He walked over to Lev and stood on his tiptoes to bring their lips together, caressing Lev's cheek in the process. I promise. And you have to answer me something before you leave. Okay, what is it? What would you say if I told you I want to have a baby? Yaku's eyes widened. He opened and closed his mouth a few times without any words coming out before he found his voice. Are you serious? You want a kid? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the next year or something, but one day, yeah. I just thought it would be good to bring it up. You know, so we could talk about it. Yaku still looked shocked by the question, letting out a quiet hum as he looked away, and Lev's heart dropped. Do you not want to? No, that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm just surprised you brought it up since you've never said anything. He smiled softly, melting Lev's worries. But we can talk about it more after I come back. That okay with you? Unable to stop the grin from forming on his face, Lev nodded and pulled Yaku into a hug. Okay, but now you definitely have to be careful and come back. Sure thing, you Titan. What do you think you are doing? Tanaka froze mid-movement, smiling sheepishly as he turned around to face his boyfriend standing by the door with his arms crossed over his chest. Walking? You said I should be moving, didn't you? And I had some free time on my hands. Yes, but I also told you to call me when you try to walk around. What if you fell? Oh, come on, chica. I'm capable of moving on my own. Thanks to you and your care, of course. He grinned, hoping to soothe Enoshita's clearly visible worries. It had been almost 2 months since he started with rehabilitation, and over a month since Enoshita took over from the hospital-appointed physiotherapist. The journey to full mobility had been long and painful, but at least the first results were now starting to show. He still couldn't go anywhere far without the help of crutches or someone else, or even just kneel down, but at least he could now move his legs around freely and even stand up without much trouble. That's nice and all, but please be careful with yourself. All your hard work could come in vain if you fell badly, you know that. However, as much as Enoshita seemed content with the development, his protectiveness didn't seem to lower in volume. Perhaps even on the contrary. And Tanaka wasn't sure what to do to lift at least some of his beloved's worries. Even now, Enoshita looked like he hadn't slept for 2 days straight, the dark bags under his eyes almost shining against his skin. It hurt Tanaka to see him like this to the point of physical pain. He reached his hand to Enoshita, hoping his boyfriend would take the hint. I know, you don't have to worry so much. As if I would ever disgrace your work by being careless. That's not the point. Clicking his tongue, Tanaka grabbed Enoshita's hand and pulled him closer to his chest before wrapping his arms around his waist to prevent him from running away. Of course it's the point. One of many points. I understand what you are saying, but I am offended you think I could be so careless and make myself wait even longer to get back home to you. Enoshita opened his mouth to probably argue further, but then sighed and let his head fall on Tanaka's shoulder. Alright. I get it. Sorry. I'm being overbearing, aren't I? Feeling Enoshita's shoulders tensing again, Tanaka tightened his embrace and nuzzled into the soft black hair. Nah, it's nice to be cared for, especially when it's you doing the caring. I just hate seeing you so worried all the time. He pulled away a bit, just enough to comfortably cup Enoshita's cheeks. How about this? I'll ask you something, you answer, and then we go for a walk into the garden. Sounds good? Enoshita blinked a few times in confusion, but then a small smile appeared in the corner of his lips and surprisingly reached to his eyes too. Alright. Though it depends on what you are going to ask. Nothing too horrible. Do you want to have a baby? This time, Enoshita froze like a deer in headlights, a mix of emotions Tanaka didn't even have a name for flashing across his face in a split second. Above everything, though, there was shock. A baby? Like, us? Have a baby? Yeah, would you be up for it? Gripping Tanaka's t-shirt in his fists, Enoshita looked away, his breathing turning slightly shaky. Tanaka let him think while he continued to rub gentle circles into his skin. I don't know if I have it in me to be a parent. Nonsense. You are our captain, remember? If you manage to keep me, Noya, Hinata, and Kageyama in line, you are definitely suited to be a dad. But it's not the same. You are teens, almost adults. This would be a small child. I've never taken care of a kid beside my brother and... Rolling his eyes, Tanaka laid his finger on Enoshita's lips to silence him before he could go on with what he already knew was going to be a self-deprecating rant. And you think I had? I don't even have younger siblings. I know absolutely nothing about childcare. He smiled, removing a stray strand of hair from Enoshita's eyes. But I would still love to try with you. We can learn together. What do you think? It took a while before Enoshita's face relaxed again. He then laid his head on Tanaka's shoulders again. Let's talk about it then. If you are sure about it. Of course I am. He kissed Enoshita's temple. You'll be the best dad in the world. You'll see. Contrary to the definitely popular belief, and unlike in the previous cases, Oikawa didn't have any particular reason for starting this challenge. He just saw it going around the socials and decided he wanted to see Iwaizumi's reaction. And where was the fun if he did it alone? And besides, maybe he was going to help some of the couples figure things out, and they could all profit in form of happy families and cute baby pictures in the future. You look awfully content with yourself. Clicking his tongue, Oikawa narrowed his eyes at Iwaizumi and crossed his arms over his chest. And so what? Can't I be happy? You should be grateful for that. Don't think I forgot about that thing with dying, you asked. Sighing, Iwaizumi reached over the table to cover Oikawa's hand with his own, rubbing small circles into his skin with his thumb. I'm sorry. You know I didn't mean to scare you so bad. But you did. I'm still about to forgive you, you know? It was mean. I was just curious. And now I'm just happy about something that's helping me forget about it. Iwaizumi rolled his eyes, but didn't say anything more, nor did he let go of Oikawa's hand. Oikawa grinned contently. He wasn't lying about being scared when Iwaizumi suddenly asked him about what he would do if he died. It was a painful reminder of what could happen if Iwaizumi fell just a bit worse, and it left Oikawa shaking and worried. He didn't hold it against his fiancée. It wasn't like he wanted to hurt him in any way. Oikawa knew that. And in the end, both of them ended up distressed and spent the rest of the day cuddling by the TV. But he supposed it couldn't hurt to remind Iwaizumi just how much pain that question caused him. Though he definitely wasn't going to be nasty about it. He still had the last time he was being sour because of getting scared in vivid memory, and he wasn't going to risk the history repeating itself. Rather leave it be than going through all the horror again. He glanced up at Iwaizumi, who seemed fully indulged in whatever he was doing on his phone, and rubbed his mantle hands. Alright, time to go ahead. Hajime, I want a baby. The reaction wasn't as wild as he expected. Iwaizumi just paused for a split second before looking up, his eyebrows raised. You do? Yeah. Okay. Blinking in surprise, Oikawa took a bit to absorb the lack of reaction on Iwaizumi's part. That's it? Okay. Do you want me to be against it? Well, no, of course not. I'm surprised you have no other comment to it. Shrugging, Iwaizumi returned his gaze to the screen of his phone. As long as the kid doesn't inherit your personality. Hey! Iwaizumi snorted a short laugh. Okay, sorry. But seriously though, I'm not that surprised you brought it up. I kinda expected you would come with it sooner or later, though I thought it would be after we get married. But hey, I'm all for it if you are too. Really? I always thought you were more the type of the favorite uncle. You know, the one kids love but who doesn't want any of his own. This time, Iwaizumi let out an actual laugh, the sound and the sight of his beloved smiling making Oikawa's heart flutter. He entwined their fingers together, giving his hand a gentle squeeze. I wouldn't mind that either, but most of our friends live in Japan, so it would be a bit difficult to arrange babysitting sessions where the kids could name me their favorite uncle. So why not get kids of our own? I bet your sister already trained you with Takeru. Oikawa cringed, memories he would gladly forget flooding his mind. Oh, don't even remind me. That stench was horrendous. Still, he found himself smiling back. But I guess a parent can look behind that, right? I think so. So if you want to go for it, then let's put our heads together. Gladly. The days following the last challenge he did were strange, to say the least. If it was because of the question itself, or because of the reminder of the past horrors, Terushima had no idea, but Daisho's mental state became even more fragile than before. And while it also seemed to serve as a sort of catharsis for Daisho to talk about his worries, Terushima would still gladly kick himself for even bringing it up. He knew Daisho's past was a sensitive topic he had to be really careful around if he didn't want to throw his boyfriend into the dark waters of nightmares and sleepless nights again, and yet he still managed to unnerve him. It pained him to see Daisho break down like that. He just wished the memories would leave him alone and let him forget, but unfortunately, human minds have limitations. And so it was up to him to offer as much support as possible. He knew what he was getting into when he suggested they take their relationship more seriously than just casual dating back then. And now he had to do everything in his power to make sure his boyfriend was feeling well. Or as much as he could anyway. What are you planning? Terushima quickly switched the tab on his laptop and grinned up at Daisho, trying for as innocent face as he could muster. Nothing? Why would I be planning something? I'm just watching your match from the last week. His terrible lie earned him a raised eyebrow. Oh really? What's the score now? 21-23? Yeah, sure. You know we didn't allow them past 20 in neither set, right? I told you about it. Terushima pouted. Fine, but I was watching it, I swear. He jumped up and wrapped his arms around Daisho's waist, to his immense happiness noticing Daisho didn't flinch with the touch like he did the past week. I'm sorry I couldn't make it this time. You looked really cool out there. It's fine. You have a job to take care of. A soft smile curled Daisho's lips, and Terushima's heart could about burst with fondness. I'm happy that you can make it at least sometimes. It's a huge mental push, you know. Even though you are a bit loud sometimes. I have to be. I have to cheer my boyfriend on. Daisho chuckled and gently pinched Terushima's cheek before relaxing into the embrace. Alright, you do you, my sunshine. But seriously though, what are you planning? It's not another prank on your boss, is it? It's not. But I can't tell you yet. Why? Because it's a surprise. A nice one, I promise. Daisho didn't look fully convinced, but then apparently decided to not push the subject further if Terushima could judge by the light shrug of his shoulders. He pulled Daisho closer to his chest, sighing happily as their bodies clicked together as if they were meant to be. He just wished moments like this weren't always somehow dampened by horrid memories. Oh, speaking of, would you want to have a baby? Silence settled around them for a moment, before Daisho, against all of Terushima's expectations, lifted his head, a strange mix of sadness and something Terushima could only describe as guilt appearing in his eyes. You want a child? Terushima hesitated, not liking Daisho's tone a tiny bit. Well, it's not that hot of a topic on my mind right now, but I thought it could be nice in the future, you know? A heavy sigh escaped from Daisho's mouth as he averted his gaze, and Terushima started to panic. He cupped Daisho's cheeks in an attempt to calm him down, even though he had no idea what caused the sudden surge of sorrow. What's wrong? Is it too soon? Or do you not want kids? It's fine, you can tell me. I'm not going to hang on it or get mad. No, it's not like that. Having kids binds people together, in one way or another. Are you sure you would want that? Terushima furrowed his brow, confused. What kind of question is that? It will be more difficult to cut ties if we shared something as important as a child. A sudden realization hit Terushima like a lightning bolt. He clenched his jaw and pulled Daisho under his chin, squeezing him in a firm embrace. If that's what you are worried about, I have no trouble putting a ring on your finger before we get to kids. But, hush, nothing like that. I told you I don't mind waiting as long as you need, and I'm not going to leave halfway through when you are the love of my life. Yuji, I'm not going to be cutting any ties with you unless it's going to be your wish. But don't make decisions about that for me, okay? I knew what I was getting into when you told me what happened to you, and I still love you. Nothing changed. So please, decide based on your own thoughts and feelings, not for my sake, okay? They both fell silent for a long while. Then, Daisho buried his face in the crook of Terushima's neck, taking a shattered breath. Alright. I'll keep that in mind. Unlike Atsumu, who was definitely all ready to dive right into the challenge after so long, Suna was a bit more sober in terms of excitement. Mostly probably because he didn't expect anything to go wrong with a challenge like this. He was going to be fine with any question Osamu could give him and definitely wasn't going to crumble. In that regard, he was more worried about other people doing it. He had spent enough time chatting with most of them to notice some of the hidden insecurities just waiting to get bring up to the surface and destroy someone's self-esteem. What an idiot. Suna looked up from his phone, raising his eyebrow over Osamu's tone. Who is? Atsumu. Who else? Sakusa just messaged me. Listen to that. Atsumu just asked him if he wants kids. Can you believe that? As if that idiot was able to take care of a kid on his own. Well, he wouldn't be on his own. Sakusa is there too. On the outside, Suna stayed unbothered, but on the inside, he cursed Sakusa for spilling the beans to Osamu, even though he probably didn't know about the challenge. Well, I guess I can go ahead with it anyway. Who cares? Or do you not have faith in your brother-in-law's parenting skills? Osamu snorted a laugh. Sakusa's? He would probably go crazy from the mess kids do. But I would still rather leave a kid with him than Atsumu. Suna couldn't help but smile. Even though he knew Osamu didn't mean any of his trash talking against Atsumu seriously, it was still entertaining and somewhat calming at the same time. But since they were already on the topic, he could as well use the opportunity. And what if we had a kid? He could hear Osamu pausing in the kitchen. Leaning back on the couch, he glanced over and waited until Osamu put whatever he was currently cooking off the flame. He didn't have to wait for long, as Osamu soon appeared in the living room, a slightly confused expression on his face. Wait, are you for real? Suna shrugged. Why not? Since we were already talking about it now, why not take it a bit further? Well, yeah, okay, but... Really? You want a kid? You've never seemed keen on having children around. Where did it come from that you suddenly... Wait, I didn't miss anything, right? You weren't trying to tell me before. Osamu's slightly horrified, slightly guilty expression rendered Suna unable to not laugh. He made a grabby hand towards his boyfriend and pulled him next to himself on the couch. Nah, it just occurred to me since you talked about it. But still, do you want that? Us having a kid or two at some point? Humming quietly as if deep in thought, Osamu leaned into Suna's side. Suna let him think, wondering what exactly was going through his boyfriend's head. I think we might be a bit too busy to have a kid in the near future. With your career and the restaurant, it would be too difficult to dedicate enough time for family. But honestly, if Atsumu manages to get a kid, then we can definitely manage too. So let's not throw it completely off the table. Suna had to agree. He kissed Osamu's cheek, mentally ticking off the challenge as successfully completed. That's fair. He sniffed after a suspicious smell hit his nose. Did you turn off the fire? The look of absolute horror in Osamu's eyes was totally worth the burnt rice.